Kingdom Hearts is fucking weird. Over the course of the past year and a half, I've had the pleasure or displeasure of playing through the entire Kingdom Hearts series live on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ChunkyMonkeyGames, and I gotta say, Kingdom Hearts, it's aight. The gameplay is fun for the most part, it's cheesy as hell, and the story is fucking wild, and not necessarily in a good way. Kingdom Hearts gets a lot of unnecessary shit from people for two reasons: the concept and the story. The first thing that turns people off from Kingdom Hearts is the premise of it being Square Enix characters in Disney worlds, and the only people who don't like that are the people who haven't played it. Don't get me wrong, it's super dumb, but it works. However, what we're going to focus on today is the story of Kingdom Hearts, the main thing that turns a lot of people off from the series. It gets a bad rap for being confusing, and rightfully so, because there are points where it gets super fucking confusing. So these people aren't entirely incorrect. However, as someone who has played all the games except for that bullshit Chain of Memories with its bullshit card system, the story really isn't that confusing. There's just details here and there that are super contrived, and they retcon stuff that confuses casual players. Obviously, if you aren't willing to learn the story of Kingdom Hearts, then the series isn't going to be for you. But for those that are familiar with the story and think that it could use some cleanup, then this video is for you. This video will be an attempt at rewriting the story of the Kingdom Hearts series with the intention of making it flow better, making it slightly easier to understand, as well as more narratively interesting. Now, of course, Kingdom Hearts started off fine, but as the series went on and we got more and more games, the story got less and less intuitive. So as you'll see in the video, the early games are only getting slight tweaks, while many of the more recent ones will be getting drastic changes. I'm your host, MattCMG. Let's get weird, let's get wild, and let's get right into Kingdom Hearts Rewritten.
Is the way they are making me feel tonight!
So we're gonna go through each game in the order of release to make things easier. For the most part, Kingdom Hearts 1 should stay relatively the same without any major changes. This game establishes the main characters of Sora, Donald, Goofy, Kairi, and Riku, as well as Ansem and Maleficent. The only things that I would change are to have a clear explanation as to what Kingdom Hearts actually is, because even in Kingdom Hearts 3, we still don't even really know what it is outside of it being a MacGuffin. The other thing is to tease the existence of Xehanort. Xehanort is not mentioned at all in this game. In fact, he's not mentioned at all until Birth by Sleep, because they hadn't thought of him yet at the time. But if you're going to give your arc a main villain, have him be established from the start. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, just a name drop would do, so we at least have an overarching villain hinted at instead of them just making him up as they went along. I think that a short cutscene with maybe Maleficent reporting her acquisition of the Princesses of Heart to Xehanort or something like that would do fine, since we know that Maleficent has met Xehanort at some point before Birth by Sleep. Other than that, don't fix what ain't broke. Just set up Xehanort so he doesn't come out of fucking nowhere in Birth by Sleep.
My main man says, buy more cards!
Now, I have very mixed feelings about Chain of Memories. I don't like the gameplay, or the fact that most of the story is a complete rehash of Kingdom Hearts 1, but it's kind of necessary to introduce characters like Naminé and the Organization, as well as setting up Kingdom Hearts 2 by having Sora sleep for a year to regain his memories. Kingdom Hearts 2 does not work without Roxas waking up Sora at the end of the tutorial, so we have to find a way for Sora to still need his memories fixed without going through this slog of a story that just repeats the first game. The idea I have to solve this and to make an overall better game is to have the villain, Marluxia, have a more outlined goal. In the game, Marluxia's plan is to have Naminé rewrite Sora's memories to make him compliant to the organization, but Marluxia's motivation for doing this is really selfish and doesn't end up being all that important in the long run. I think that they should keep Marluxia as the main villain of this game, but change his motivation to be more in line with what Xehanort would probably want. In the original version, Marluxia wants to control Sora to take out the organization members he doesn't like, probably including Xehanort to some degree, but the problem with that is that we haven't seen the organization as anything more than just some dudes in hoods. Obviously, we get a little more of this in the next game, but if they want to be built up as threatening, they can't be seen as this fractured group in their first appearance. This is why I think that it should be Xehanort pulling the strings here. Instead, Xehanort will be the one commanding the organization to mess with Sora's memories so he'll be more compliant to him. In essence, it would be Xehanort's attempt to turn Sora to his side before Sora becomes a problem. Of course, Xehanort would not be directly involved, so he leaves it to Marluxia and the rest of the organization, who end up losing, which then causes the fractured nature of the group seen in 358 over 2 days, which could work even though these games take place during roughly the same time. The game would pretty much stay the same other than Marluxia being motivated by Xehanort rather than a thirst for power, which kind of makes Marluxia being one of the main bosses in Kingdom Hearts 3 feel kinda dumb. It's like, oh yeah, remember when I tried to betray you, like 7 games ago? I'm on your side now, we're cool. Like, what the fuck? No.
No. Shion. Who else will I have ice cream with?
Moving on to the next game, 358 over 2 days, or 358 days over 2, 179 days, however the fuck you're supposed to say it. Stuff should mostly stay the same here, save for the stuff that we changed in Chain of Memories that kind of bleeds into this one. This game is great for characterizing Axel and Roxas since they'll become key players later on, but with all the emphasis they put on Xion, you'd think she'd be more important. After the events of this game, Xion never shows up again until Kingdom Hearts 3, save for her few appearances in Coded and fucking Dream Drop Distance. And even then, it didn't really matter because she didn't do anything in any of those stories. This is less of a problem with 358 over 2 days, but more of something they should change for the rest of the games going forward. Make Xion relevant, especially if you're going to make her important in her debut game. Of course, Roxas should remain center stage here, since this is essential backstory for him for Kingdom Hearts 2, but give Xion a little more relevance. She shows up in Dream Drop Distance and Coded, but her existence in those games doesn't really change anything in any major way. Have a little more build up to her appearance in Kingdom Hearts 3 than just her showing up randomly in other games.
And you and I! There's a new life!
Kingdom Hearts 2 is nearly perfect and should not be changed in any drastic capacity. The only thing that I would change about this game is the Roxas fight. Just make it a little easier. This isn't even related to the story, but Jesus Christ, that fight had no reason being that hard. Oh, and Ansem. Nobody knows what's going on there. Make that make sense to somebody who stopped paying attention. Also, we need more Xehanort build-up, similar to how we changed Kingdom Hearts 1. Wow, I changed more than I thought I would have here. Honestly, if Kingdom Hearts ended right here, the way it is, I'd be fine with it. There's like maybe 2 loose ends that they didn't tie up, but even then, those are like negligible. They probably should have stopped here, but they just kept on going, didn't they? And it all goes downhill from here, ladies and gentlemen. Much like Kingdom Hearts 2, Birth by Sleep should remain relatively the same. The only thing I'd change story-wise is to make Terra's fate a little less confusing. What's supposed to be happening is that Terra is Norded and Xehanort has control over his body, yet Terra's heart is still in there. But I didn't even know this in my playthrough. I had to look this shit up in the Kingdom Hearts wiki to figure this out, and even then, what happened to Lingering Will? Last we saw it, it was taking a fat L to Terranort, and we just don't see it until Kingdom Hearts 3 where Naminé sends him in. The whole thing needs to be cleaned up and better explained. I don't care how, just fix it. Send him to Castle Oblivion, send him to the virtual world, send him to fucking Atlantica, I don't care. Just send him somewhere and put him in a position where he can't actually help until he's freed or needed.
We have technology.
If I had to describe Recoded in one word, it'd be fucking unnecessary. That ain't 2 words, that's 1 word. Say it with me now. Fucking unnecessary. The story doesn't actually impact anything in the series as a whole. The only major plot points in this game are that Mickey remembers Aqua and then he kicks off the events of Dream Drop Distance, both of which could have been demonstrated at different points in the story. We didn't need a whole game for this. This game is completely useless to the greater Kingdom Hearts story, and any important events from it can be easily mentioned in passing in other games. Honestly, I'd say take anything important, put it at either the end of Kingdom Hearts 2 or the beginning of Dream Drop Distance, and remove the game from canon. Otherwise, we don't fucking need it. Now, Dream Drop Distance is where we really start changing stuff. The premise of this game is that Sora and Riku are taking their Keyblade Mastery exams by freeing worlds that are considered asleep and waking them up. I would change all of this. What I would do is have Sora and Riku do this not as their Mastery exam, but rather to free Ventus. Mickey knows what happened to Ventus by this point, so it should stand to reason that he'd know to wake him up, which I think would be a better goal for the game. Sora and Riku spend the game looking for Ventus in the dream world or whatever the fuck, and they try to wake him up. In the end, they would succeed and bring Ventus to Yensid's castle, which would lead into the next game. In the background of this game and the next, we would also have Kairi and Axel training with their Keyblades, just so there's an explanation for how they know what they're doing in Kingdom Hearts 3, so we don't waste that fucking valuable time in Kingdom Hearts 3 with pointless cutscenes where they fucking do nothing. Fuck!
He crossed this nigga into the shadow realm!
Kingdom Hearts Point 2, Birth by Sleep, a Fragmentary Passage, boy that's a mouthful, is retcon the game. This game retcons the ending of Kingdom Hearts 1 by showing that Aqua was there when Mickey and Riku helped close the door, but got left behind in the Realm of Darkness, or as I like to call it, the Shadow Realm, because that's 10 times fucking cooler. I say, fuck all of that. Instead of this game taking place during Kingdom Hearts 1, I think it should take place after Dream Drop Distance. The game could pretty much be the same, gameplay-wise, with Aqua trying to escape the Shadow Realm, but I think the end of this game should reveal that Mickey, Riku, Ventus, and everyone else are looking for her. This and my proposed rewrite for Dream Drop Distance are things that both happened in Kingdom Hearts 3, but obviously they happen differently. So this may seem weird for them to get their own games, but allow me to explain further as we move on to...
Hey guys, MattCMG here.
So originally I was gonna put a little screaming lyrics here for Don't Think Twice, but I haven't yet recorded that. So just pretend I'm screaming Don't Think Twice for this little intro section, and go sub to my second channel, MattCMG 2, for where I inevitably do scream the lyrics to Don't Think Twice, because I've already done Simple and Clean, I've done all I can really handle of Sanctuary, and we're definitely gonna be doing Don't Think Twice at some point. So go sub to my second channel if you like screaming. So that's all for today. That's all for this little section here. On with the video. Kingdom Hearts 3 is where I think the most changes are in order, and is kind of the reason I made this video. Kingdom Hearts 3 was meant to be the end of this first arc, if you will, of Kingdom Hearts, and to be completely honest, it's one of the most anticlimactic finales I've ever seen, or in this case played. I haven't played Reminds, nor do I plan to, but from what I understand it doesn't change or recontextualize anything major, so we're gonna disregard that. Like I said before, my rewrites for Dream Drop Distance and Fragmentary Passage were both things that happened in Kingdom Hearts 3. They woke up Ventus and they finally got Aqua out of the Shadow Realm in that game. However, these things do not belong in this game, simply because 90% of Kingdom Hearts 3 was already them just gathering the team. And I think it would work so much better if the team was already gathered by the start of the game, which will be the basis for this rewrite. To rewrite Kingdom Hearts 3, we need to really rewrite it. Not necessarily from the ground up, because I think Kingdom Hearts 3 had a decent groundwork for what could have been a good story, but they kind of flubbed it by pushing it all to the end. And I think if we take the climax of the game and spread it out and make it the entire game, then we got a good game on our hands. To do this, we need to start at the end. With the team assembled by the beginning of the game, the start of the game will be the gang going to fight Xehanort and failing, just like they did in the original climax. The game should start out with the player knowing who's who and what's going on. We don't have time to explain all this shit to you. And then we'd start with the cutscene where everybody fucking dies. This scene provides an emotional hook for the remainder of the game, since everybody that Sora cared about was gone right in front of him. There's a section in Kingdom Hearts 3 where after leaving the final world, Sora needs to use the power of waking to revive his fallen comrades. It's a short section, but I think it would work great as the basis for the entire game. One of the problems I had with the majority of Kingdom Hearts 3 is that most of the game was straight up filler. Sora left Yensid's castle with the intention of learning the power of waking, but none of the Disney worlds he went to helped him at all with that, and many of them had nothing to do with the story, unlike in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. So I think that this game should start with everybody losing. Sora has a little tutorial in the final world where he might learn the power of waking, and instead of everybody's hearts being in the afterlife, purgatory, or whatever the fuck, their hearts are actually being kept in the actual Disney world, which gives Sora a purpose for the entire game. Instead of wandering aimlessly, Sora would be traveling to these Disney worlds with the goal of reviving his friends, the first being Twilight Town, where he'll revive Donald and Goofy, because it ain't a Kingdom Hearts game without Donald and Goofy. Then the rest of the worlds can be for each of the rest of the gang. So for example, you'd have Mickey in Olympus, Riku in Toy Box, Aqua in Arendelle. You get the picture. There are 7 Disney worlds with 7 characters to revive if we include Terra, who still would have died at the beginning of the game. This way, Kingdom Hearts 3 would actually feel like assembling the team, which is I think what it was trying to be with the very out-of-place Aqua and Ventus sections, but failed miserably at because there was no purpose for Sora. Alongside this, there could be playable sections for each character once you revive them, which isn't necessary, but I think would please a lot of fans. So just to recap our rewrites so far, because it's gonna get just fucking weirder from here. The entire team, except for Terra, goes to fight Xehanort, just like in the original climax of the game. Terranort pulls up and causes them some trouble. Donald uses the Zeta Flare. Xehanort pulls up with an army of Heartless, and everybody fucking dies. Sora wakes up in the final world and learns the power of waking. Additionally, he learns that he and his friends have another chance to beat Xehanort, and learns that these Grim Reaper-looking fucks are keeping the hearts of Sora's friends in different worlds. Sora would leave the final world, don't ask me how, maybe Naminé helps him or something, I don't fucking know how, but he leaves the final world and ends up in Twilight Town, where he'll find and revive the hearts of Donald and Goofy, so the main trio is back together. From there, we find out that the organization also knows what's happening and is also trying to get a hold of their hearts, so the game becomes Sora's quest to revive all of his friends before the organization gets to them. And this would be the premise of the game. So you'd go through all these Disney worlds trying to revive all your friends, and it doesn't really matter which order you revive everyone in, or in which worlds they're in. But what does matter is that Kairi definitely has to be last. Kairi is the one person that Sora cares about the most, so she would be his driving force for the majority of the game. I know a lot of people were upset that Kairi didn't do anything in Kingdom Hearts 3 except for train off-screen and show up in a few cutscenes, and this doesn't exactly alleviate that, but it does stay in line with the other main Kingdom Hearts games. In Kingdom Hearts 1, Sora's goal was to find Kairi, and about halfway through Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora finds out that Kairi has been dragged into everything and it becomes his goal to protect her yet again. Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't really have anything like that. There was no emotion driving Sora to complete his quest, so I think with Kairi being the last of his friends to revive, it gives Sora a goal much more in line with the previous games. Once you've gone through all the worlds and assembled the entire team, the game would progress much like it did originally in the original climax. Sora and his friends would survive the Heartless onslaught with the help of Yen Sid, and then have their final showdown with the organization in the big maze. The maze would be a perfect opportunity to have the other characters be playable, and you'd have the opportunity to play as everybody, including characters like Roxas and Xion who are awakened in the fight. The fight against Ansem, Xemnas, and young Xehanort would go as it originally did, and then we'd have Sora, Donald, and Goofy fight Old Head Xehanort for the first phase of the final boss fight. Once you beat him, we enter a cutscene where he gets even more powerful, but then the rest of the Keyblade wielders, Roxas, Xion, and Terra included, pull up and everybody fights Xehanort together as a team for the second phase, where he will teleport everyone to Scala Adkylum. Is that how you say it? Scala Adkylum? Scala Adkylum? Fuck you, Latin. This phase would have a ton of health bars for Xehanort, but you'd also be able to do massive damage with a multitude of team attacks and commands since everybody is fighting him at once. Upon beating this phase, a cutscene triggers which shows everybody teaming up in their respective trios. Terra, Aqua, and Ventus, Roxas, Xion, and Axel, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, and Sora, Riku, and Kairi, for a final push from multiple angles to take down Xehanort. However, Xehanort resists this and is able to push their attacks back at them, resulting in a big-ass explosion. Everybody is injured except for Sora, who is protected by Goofy's shield, but once the dust settles, Kairi is nowhere to be found. We then pan up and we see Xehanort floating there, holding Kairi by her fucking head, by her skull, and Sora watches in horror as Xehanort freezes her and shatters her into fucking pieces, killing her instantly, similar to how he did so in the original game, except, in the original he fucking slashed her with a Keyblade. Doesn't really matter how he kills her, as long as she fucking dies. This sends Sora into a fit of rage, triggering his rage form, but everybody is able to talk him down and he settles into his ultimate form. The third phase of the final fight would be a one-on-one between Ultimate Form Sora and Full Power Xehanort. After a thorough thrashing, Xehanort is finally defeated. Our heroes have won and have prevented Kingdom Hearts from being used for evil. One thing that I did not like from the original ending of Kingdom Hearts 3 was how Ericus came out and talked to Xehanort to his senses and has him renounce his evil ways in the span of 30 seconds. That pissed me off, because it's anticlimactic and almost defeats the purpose of the entire fucking arc. Instead, what I would have happen is Sora, in revenge for killing Kairi, uses the Keyblade, or the X-Blade, however the fuck you say it, to remove Xehanort's heart and to shatter it to pieces and spread these pieces across the various worlds. As for what remains of Xehanort, I can't exactly say, because I don't think that Sora would straight up revenge kill him, since that seems out of character. So maybe the Keyblade wielders collectively use their Keyblades to take away his powers, or have Yen Sid steal him away, or something like that. It doesn't really matter at this point, as long as he gets his comeuppance for all the harm he's done over the series. Xehanort does not deserve a happy ending like he got, so anything that gets him what he deserves is fine by me. Now that they've dealt with Xehanort, there's still one thing left to handle. Kairi. One of the few moments in Kingdom Hearts 3 that I found genuinely emotionally moving was when Sora traded his life for Kairi's, and I think we should keep this concept but with a slight change in how it happens. The way this happens in the original game is very unclear in the sense that you know what's happening, but you don't know how or why. Like, you know how they say show don't tell? Well, here, they neither show nor do they tell. Here's how I would change it. After defeating Xehanort, we have that scene where Sora says he's gonna go look for Kairi and everybody tries to talk him out of it, but instead of this happening in the Keyblade Graveyard, we have this happen in Scala Adkylum over the shattered remains of Kairi's body. This would be where we see Sora use the power of waking one last time, maybe even using in the Keyblade, you never know, the X-Blade, whatever the fuck, to revive Kairi and have one last moment with her. This last moment would be a callback to the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 where they reach for each other's hands but can't quite reach each other, and we'd watch as Kairi is revived and Sora is taken back to presumably the final world where he would presumably try to escape. This wouldn't really change the final cinematic at all, since Sora could appear next to Kairi as one of his escape attempts, or as maybe a vision or something, but would quickly fade away and end up elsewhere. The only thing this would really change is making Sora's sacrifice a little more obvious and make it clear as to what actually happened to him, which I'm pretty sure is answered in Remind anyways, so it doesn't really change much in that regard. With the main story changes out of the way, let's change the epilogue, shall we? For starters, let's talk about the post-credit scene with the back cover characters. There's a reason that I didn't mention back cover or Union Cross earlier, and it's because I don't care about them at all. It adds almost nothing to the overall story that couldn't have been added or mentioned in passing in any other game. This is why I would change the post-credit scene with Xigbar and the Foretellers completely. Xigbar can stay, but the Foretellers have got to go, since in my version of this story, the events of back cover are irrelevant to Kingdom Hearts 3. They still happened, but they're really only there for context or as supplementary material, which is what they should have been, but they tried to make them relevant to the story, which is fucking dumb. The purpose of this epilogue will be to set up the next arc of Kingdom Hearts, and I think this arc should bring the series back to its roots of being a Disney Square Enix crossover. The main villain of this next arc will be Maleficent, with Pete and Xigbar working under her. If it's one issue I've had with Kingdom Hearts as a whole, it's that they set up Maleficent in Kingdom Hearts 1 to be a semi-major villain for the series, but as the Xehanort stuff picked up, Maleficent fell to the side and became completely irrelevant. Like, she shows up several times in Kingdom Hearts 3, talking all kinds of mad shit like she's the main villain, but ends up doing absolutely fuck all. She wanted to be the main villain real bad in Kingdom Hearts 3. So I think in this next arc of the series, we should make her the main villain, with her goal being to use Kingdom Hearts to take control over all world, her original goal as established in Birth by Sleep. This time, without Xehanort to report to, she becomes her own boss and can go about gaining control over Kingdom Hearts in her own way. As for the secret ending where Sora is in Shibuya and Riku in Verum Rex, the next games in the series would likely have to take advantage of that, but at this point we'd be getting into speculation. Maybe they explained this in Remind, but I don't know. I didn't play it, nor do I really give that much of a fuck anymore. At the end of the day though, this is ultimately just fanfiction. The story of Kingdom Hearts is a convoluted mess, but it's our convoluted mess. It might be utterly confusing and kind of dumb at times, but I think that's what in large part gives the series its charm. At this point, we accept the flaws in these games and their stories, and ultimately Kingdom Hearts is a much better series when you stop taking it seriously. I think for one to truly appreciate Kingdom Hearts, one needs to embrace the stupidity and embrace the contrivances, because it's dumb and you need to realize that it's so fucking dumb. But that's what makes it enjoyable. But with all that said, what do you guys think? Do you agree with my changes to the Kingdom Hearts story, or do you think that the mess we already have is good enough? Let me know in the comments down below. Drop a like on this video if you found it entertaining. Subscribe for more garbage. I've been MattCMG. I'll see y'all next time.